Hey guys, I hope you are keeping well. Thank you for tuning in to watch this video about how I started my online business with no money. So the reason I'm shooting this video is I really want to share some of the really key lessons that I learned throughout my career journey that actually led to my being able to start an online business and being able to run this online business for the past 6 years. Sometimes one tends to forget how much they have done or how much they have achieved because you're always just moving on to the next project or the next opportunity. And through sharing a lot about marketing and business and entrepreneurship on my TikTok platform, I've actually realized that I have a lot to share. By the way, follow me on TikTok. I'm much more consistent on there. But you can also follow my new Instagram page called Marketing with Gege, where I'll be sharing a lot of these lessons. But yeah, for purposes of this video, I'm going to share with you guys, number one, my backstory. Before I even became an entrepreneur, everything that kind of led to me being able to start a business that actually worked, that actually made money, and that actually is still afloat and doing well until this day. And then I will get into the specifics of how I managed to start that online business. So stick around, we're gonna have a good time, grab a cup of coffee, and let's get to the video. 6 years ago, I quit my job very suddenly. I had no plan B. I had savings that would probably only last me about 2 months because at that time I was still very young. Okay, not very young, but I was still in my early 20s and I lived with my parents. So I still had a roof over my head. I still had food to eat. The only bill that I actually had was my car installment and my insurance. So it wasn't as risky a jump as it would be for a lot of other people, and that is something we have to acknowledge. That's why I do not advise people to just quit their jobs. You know, you have to really test a concept, see if it works, see if you have enough to supplement your income for months to come before making a decision of that nature. But also, I think it's important when you do make risky decisions to make them from a place of good counsel and also conviction. For me, I had a deep conviction that I had to leave the company I was at because the place became very, very unbearably toxic to a point where I believe that my mental health and physical health would have been compromised had I stayed. So I did not actually have plans of becoming an entrepreneur. I just had to make a plan after I had quit my job. So to cut a long story short, my subsequent plan was to look for a marketing position in a corporate company and begin working again. However, in those 2 months when I was unemployed, because I'm someone who is very passionate about marketing, I was doing some research on what it is companies need from a marketing perspective. And at that time, the era of digital and social media and blogging, it was booming. And I had those skills. I was a really good writer. And so I figured actually, I could do this for companies. So I could approach companies, tell them that their social media needs work, tell them that their website needs work in terms of copywriting and blogging, and I could make money. So I started sending emails to various companies and also to small business owners, basically offering them this as a service. I did not get responses from most people. Actually, I barely got responses. But what happened in that time, as I was exploring this path of becoming a social media writer and blogger for people, I got a call from a marketing agency that I used to work with in my previous job. So in my previous job, I was an events and marketing manager, but that company had an agency that would do their social media marketing for them. But because I was so passionate about marketing and social media and writing at that time, I would do the agency's job for them when I worked at that company. So instead of them coming up with all the content to post on our platforms, I would literally write the content for them. And so I made their jobs very easy. And so now, as I was unemployed, they found out that I had left my job and they called me and said, listen, We need someone like you on our team. And this leads me to my first point about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship legitimately starts when you are an employee. Like, you actually have to become entrepreneurial in your job. I made a post about this on TikTok some time back, that if you cannot be a good employee, if you cannot handle the pressures of being an employee, entrepreneurship is going to be 10 times harder for you, because you have to be able to be someone who doesn't have to be managed. You have to be someone who is very honest and forthcoming and takes initiative, you know, when you are an employee, before you can even think of starting your own business. I just feel like we're in a generation where people like the idea of entrepreneurship and like quick fixes. It's just not how it works. Let me not even get into that discussion now. I actually feel like I need to have an entire video about that topic. But you know, sometimes you are just doing your work in the best way that you can, and you have no idea who's watching, and you have no idea what doors of opportunity that is going to open for you. Never did I think that that agency would look at the work I did, and now that I don't have a job, they are just offering me a job. Like, that's so amazing. However, I was actually confused about whether I wanted to take the job or not, because at that point when they called me, I had already started emailing other companies and trying to get into the space of being a digital entrepreneur. And so I had already made my mind up that I wanted to start like a marketing business. So I wasn't sure whether taking this job would be a good idea. But then I remember having a conversation with my aunt during that time and just asking for her advice about that. And she said to me, you know what, Gege, if you want to start a company, just know that trying to get something off the ground when you do not have an income is going to cause you a lot of challenges. There is nothing worse than trying to get something off the ground without an income. You are going to be stressed. Your creativity will be negatively affected. I completely understand that you want to start a business, but it's so important to have an income as you do that. And so honestly, my aunt's advice was just golden for me, because I could have made a very naive decision as to not take that work because I had decided that I want to run a business, although I didn't even have one client as yet. And so very luckily for me, I was able to negotiate a part-time work contract with this agency. So essentially they became my first client, because I ended up working with them on a freelance basis. I think about 3 days a week. I charged them an hourly rate. I had a service level agreement in place, and voila, they were my first client. I'm so grateful for that opportunity to this day, because that really was a launching pad for my business. And as that was happening, I still had 2 days in the week to pursue my own entrepreneurial ventures. And so I got in contact with one of my aunts who ran a recruitment company, and I basically pitched my services to her and her company, and they ended up becoming my second client. And from then on, I was able to formally register my business and start running as an agency. There are 2 points that I want to highlight. Number one is the importance of having an income when you're starting something out. I'm going to have a lot of conversations about this on my channel, but for me, that made all the difference. Working 3 days with that agency just gave me enough money to be able to think clearly as I was trying to decide what opportunities I wanted to pursue on the back of that. And also, as I was working with that agency, I did the very, very best job that I could. Like, that's one of my roles in life. Like, always do your best. One of the reasons why clients actually like working with us is because we give the projects that we work on our best. Like, we don't do half-hearted work at all. That's just one standard of mine that I will not compromise. And I truly believe that it's one of the reasons we've been able to continue as a business even through tough seasons like that virus. Number two, building a network. You don't realize that as you work in a company, you are building a network. Some of the people that you encounter or come across or interact with or do work for can become people you collaborate with or even work with in future. I had no idea that I was forming networks whilst I was working in my previous companies, but that is exactly what I did. And because of that, doors of opportunity opened for me the moment I went out on my own. And not neglecting the people around you. I definitely believe that I probably had the privilege of knowing people who were business owners that I could offer my services to. I even remember in the months that I was unemployed, I remember doing something for my mom. I provided her with a marketing service where she was able to pay me. It wasn't a large amount, but she paid me for that service. Sometimes we really take for granted the opportunities that exist even amongst the people that we know. And because these are people who also want to see you do well and see you flourish, there's room for you to really utilize those opportunities as testing ground to say, does this service offering actually work? Is the service offering actually of value to them? And can I take this somewhere someday? Before I go out and try to approach like the biggest companies to do their marketing for them, actually doing marketing for people I knew was such great practice for the service that I wanted to offer. After that, I kept landing like little projects with small companies, and I was able to hire my first employee. We were working from my apartment. I remember I was sharing an apartment in Sunninghill with one of my friends, and I utilized that as my office. I got an employee, and one of the biggest turning points after that in my growth process as a business was when we went to work at a co-working space. Basically, it's a whole story on its own, just a wonderful testimony. We were actually offered an opportunity to utilize a co-working space at literally only 500 Rand a month for myself and my colleague at that time, which was a complete bargain. And through that co-working space, we developed more networks, which opened more doors of opportunity, and the rest was honestly history. I'll go into more detail about many aspects of my journey in future videos, but the points I want to highlight in this video specifically about starting an online business is: number one, start a service-based business, something where you're not going to actually need capital to get started. This is why it's important to invest in constant learning and growth. Start building skills. Like, I'm a huge digital person, right? And I believe that there are so many skills that one can build. Even the skill of writing, guys. Do you know what an incredible shortage of good writers there are in the marketing industry generally? Develop skills that are rare and develop skills that are valuable. So even with regards to social media marketing, as a business, we've had to change our entire business model because only doing social media was not going to work for the type of business that we want to be or the type of clients that we want to serve. So we had to acquire skills in other areas of marketing that were going to directly relate to the results that we want to offer our clients. So it's so important, guys, to continuously invest in developing your skills. There are so many free resources on YouTube or even courses on Udemy. This leads me to my second point, right? Acquire knowledge and skills that other people need, but they don't have the time and capacity for. So I'm going to utilize social media as an example again. When blogging and social media was on the rise, I did my research, I developed the skills and learned to work these platforms well so that I could actually approach businesses with a skill that they needed but didn't have, right? Obviously, since that time, we've had to evolve our service offering, and our skills have also had to further develop and evolve for the type of business that we want to be. But at that time, I had developed the right skills for what the market needed. And so it's also very important for you as an entrepreneur to be responding to a marketing need. Sometimes we focus on things that we're really passionate about, but not everything that you're passionate about is going to be valuable to people. So become good at spotting opportunity. And for me, it's always been a very intuitive thing. I think I really actually care about people, and I actually care about my clients succeeding. I care about people doing well in their businesses, and that's why I was always sensitive to the needs of people. I wouldn't just offer people a service because I have the skill and let me just give you the service. No, I actually got very in touch with what it is people needed. So even if I was starting another marketing business today, I would probably look at things like helping people find customers online in a very direct way, helping people utilize these new platforms like TikTok, even Instagram, to actually get business. If I had the time to, those are the types of marketing opportunities that are aligned with my skills that I would be pursuing. Number 3, reach out to as many people as you can. My immediate network was what got me off the ground. And as I mentioned, not everyone is going to have an immediate network to the same capacity that I had, but there are so many ways, like attend events where you know that people who are in your target market attend, and start building conversations with people like that. Just put yourself in places of opportunity. For me, what's been the most important thing to the sustenance of this business is continuous evolution. I remember reading about this concept, or no, I didn't read about it. I was listening to a podcast that spoke about this concept of taking yourself out of business. And they said that great companies take themselves out of business very often. And it's so true. A very practical example of this was I started this business as an agency that would write posts for people and post them on their platforms. That was the base of what I did in the beginning. And about 2 or 3 years after that, I realized that it's good and great for companies to post on digital platforms, but if they are really wanting to make a return on their investment, they're going to have to look at more of a holistic approach to their marketing. They're going to have to learn to get leads, actually use social media, not to just post, but to acquire leads. And so I went into Facebook advertising. I went and taught people how to get leads off of Facebook advertising, and then utilize email marketing to do what we call nurture those leads, which is form a relationship with these people. Then we would teach our clients how to get people to physical events, and then we ran physical events for them. So we constantly had to develop our offering as a business when our knowledge about things evolved. And I think because clients know that we do that, and because they know that we actually care about their success, we've been able to stay in business. So for me, those are the lessons that I really believe are important to impart in this video. It's very important to be able to connect your skills and your passions to things that are going to be profitable. And this requires a lot of research and just a lot of sensitivity to what it is that people actually need and what it is that people actually value. And you have to utilize your career capital. Had I not worked incredibly hard and even done things in my previous jobs that were even beyond what my job description was, I don't think I would have been an entrepreneur to this day, if I have to be completely honest. It was through my dedication as an employee that I was able to have the mindset and the grit to start an online business from zero. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This conversation definitely will be continued. Let me know if you want me to dive into any specifics of what I discussed today. For now, it was so great having you join me in this video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.